Let's talk about 3 Oms and the Gayatri while we're waiting for Dina. Okay, Om Sai Ram, everyone. Right, so let's do a quick recap. How did your Ekagraph in one-pointed awareness, how's that going? Going well. How many of you bought tea light candles? Okay, whatever you want, that's fine. As long as you're doing it every day, right? Remember, it's an exercise, it's a training. If you don't train, you will never master it, right? So no good knowing the technique and you never ever train to use it. It has no value in your life. It's about the doing, right? That needs discipline, and you have been given the grace of having access to that knowledge. Swami has given it to you. It's your job now to be able to put it together and start making it work, right? As we go along with it, if you really are doing this twice a day for those 2 minutes, you should notice within about 3 to 4 months that you have an extraordinary focus. It's that quick. Just a little bit of effort and you can see it. Of course, if you deepen it and you can go beyond the 2 minutes, you will find many, many things changing in your life and in your spiritual effort. Okay? So today we're going to basically deal with a very powerful sadhana that Swami has asked us to do, and that is the Aumkaar. First, a little bit about the Aumkaar and how it works and what it is about. Of course, every sadhana that we will deal with in the future modules is revolving around this information. Right? Remember, there are only 2 processes you have to remember. One is purification of the lower mind, and 2, refinement of the higher mind, which is the intellect. Right? Purification of the lower mind, refinement of the intellect. Purification is about taking all the lower downward dragging vibrations. They come from our previous lives, from our previous incarnations in animal forms. It comes from the food we eat, company we keep, whatever's coming through our senses. As you contaminate the mind, that thing begins to distort the lower mind, and then you live life as we're living it now, right? And worse. So by purifying this, you're bringing it back into its original form that Swami intended it to operate at. And the technology for doing that, how do you clean it up, is what we're dealing with now. So your first skill is to master the Ekagratham, to be able to sustain the sadhana long enough for it to have its effect. Second is, we will be using specific techniques to address the wavering mind, the mala, the dust, the mirror, the impressions, and terminating the ego. All sadhanas operate at this level. They are purifying processes, right? This is why Swami asks us to engage it as his first step. If you don't purify the lower mind, the higher mind doesn't get a chance to ever develop, and then your spiritual heart is never able to express the innate love that you are. Right? So it's a kind of a very obvious thing once you know about it. So purifying is the name of the game. Right? So just like if you're taking a bath, you can bath in any number of ways. You can shower, you can use a bucket and water, you can use a bath where you soak in, whichever version. Then you have different soaps. You can use whatever soap you want. The challenge is that you don't every day change. You don't have a shower bath one day, then a bucket bath the other day, then a bubble bath the next day. You just choose one and you keep doing it, right? So in the same way, when you choose the sadhana, you must make sure that you're choosing one that is pleasant and moderate and that it works for you, because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. Okay? So if you keep jumping from one sadhana to the other, then it doesn't work. Right? Certain sadhanas are important for us to do. It may end up that you end up doing 2 or 3 of these, and that should be sufficient. If there are 10 of these sadhanas, you don't have to do all 10. Choose the ones that work for you and do it consistently. Okay? Everyone understands that concept? Because lots of devotees make the mistake of believing they've got to do every single sadhana, and then they spend like the first few months trying to get it all right, and then they abandon it. It's too hard, or it takes too much of time. Okay, so you need to take what's working for you. So we're going to give you the sadhanas now in an order that is the most powerful. So in other words, the one we're doing today is one of the most powerful. I would recommend all of you engage this sadhana. Besides the ekagrata, this is the other one, right? And as we go along, we'll point out to you which ones are like critical for you to really be investing some time in. Okay, so you understand what that is about, right? And so Aumkaar, whilst we operate at all of these levels, is basically cleaning up the vasanas. Right? So deep within are the impressions that have become habits for us. So they become your tendencies. So when you get born again, these tendencies are coming with you as your running software. Right? So you know, why is this child so cranky? Well, it's coming from some other life. That crankiness was developed as a habit, and it's now running as a tendency in this person's life. So we all come with a chain of tendencies and patterns of behavior that are quite quirky. It doesn't belong to this, your spiritual identity. It belongs to all the messed up stuff we're getting from our animal incarnations. Right? So when you behave like a monkey, you must know it's real. You must have been a monkey somewhere. That's why he doesn't hesitate to call us monkey minds, right? Straight out of the monkey mind. So it's about conquering that lower pollution in the mind. That's what your sadhana is about. And so if you're not consistent, then all that happens is that you make it more polluted every day. So the regular sadhana is the art of how we do this, right? So let's look at Aumkaar. So the Aumkaar is basically chanting the Om 21 times. And there's some very interesting information about it. Firstly, the Aumkaar is sometimes called the primal sound, the original sound, and it is the expression of God as sound. So in the beginning, there was the void, absolute nothing, pure silence, there was no creation, etc. And God is that silence. And the urge came about to experience and express love. And so love is the first intent, impulse for why creation happens, right? Now, from that intent of love, the pure silence is agitated by intent. So the divine begins to intend that there should be love. And how that expresses itself is a vibration. So in the silence, there is this vibration that begins. And that vibration is called the pranava. Right? So technically the word prana means to vibrate. Right? So the vibration begins. But the vibration is at a level because there is no one to hear it. Right? Remember, this is like before creation begins. There's no one to hear it, so no one can hear it. It's called anhata, the unheard sound. Right? So it is vibrating. And then all of creation emanates from the Om, because everything in creation is vibration, it's energy, right? So starting with all the gunas, starting with all the elements, they all are different combinations and permutations of how the Aumkaar unpacks itself, right? So understanding that, this primal sound then is what we know as the Om, right? Sometimes spelled O-M, sometimes it's spelled A-U-M, right? So the sound then, the Om sound, or the Om vibration, is present in all of creation. It doesn't matter where you are, you will be able to hear the creation, right? So sometimes, let's say if you're in a busy place and there's a repetitive sound of some machinery going on, if you stop getting irritated by the sound, just listen to it, you'll start to hear the Om then. Because every sound has the Om in it. Whether it is bird sounds, a dog barking, frogs croaking, people talking, car, traffic, all of that is the Om. Because it's immanent in everything in creation. Right? So anything that has physical form already has the Om vibrating in it. And more importantly, you as the creation, the supreme creation, has the Om vibrating within you. Right, so because it is present in all created matter, it will extend right into the cosmos, into the planets, the stars, right down to the subatomic level, into the atoms, molecules. The Om is present in everything. And in deep meditation, one can hear or experience the cosmic Om. Okay? That's a very important concept, that in deep meditation, you can experience the cosmic Om or the pranava. And in order to hear the sound, in order to experience it, you have to approach your own core, because you are that creator. You are the silence. You are the indivisible, supreme absolute. But you don't believe it yet, right? Swami is telling us that. So we are that. And so by using the Om as a vehicle, it's like you're going back to your core, to your source. Right? So the Om is a vehicle that enables you to go to experience your Atmic state. Right? So that's the important principle. The Om is a vehicle that enables you to experience the Atmic state. But you have to know how to travel with this vehicle. Okay. So a good example is that you know that a train is the vehicle that takes you from Durban to Cape Town. You know that now, right? It's like saying you know the Om takes you to the Atma. But you never get on the train. What's the use of that? The train will go, but you are still where you are, right? In the same way, if you don't learn how to use the Om and then indeed use it, you can never approach the experience of your Atmic state. It's only an idea, it's not your experience. Right? So you have to get to the level of the experience now. Right, so Aumkaar then is, or the Aumkara is the first sound. Everything else is called Vikara. It means it's a distortion of this primal sound. So the Om then has three components to it: the A sound, the U sound, and then the M sound. And each of these has a distinct experience for us. So the A is sometimes called Akara, the U is Ukara, and the M is Makara. Okay, each of these has an effect in creation. So the A sound is where you begin to create. Right? When that part of the Om vibrates, it induces creation. Ukara is the maintenance or the sustenance. and the makara is the destruction of anything, right, or the termination of a cycle. So this is creation, sustenance, destruction. So the Om actually embodies the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, or Maheshwara, right? So the whole divinity is latent in this. And it also represents the three states of, or the four states of consciousness. So this first state here is the waking state. The A sound is related to the waking state. The U sound represents the deep sleep state, or the dream state. And the M sound represents the state of deep sleep. Right? So waking, dream state, deep sleep. And then the fourth stage, which is below that, is called the Turiya, which means the deep silence. So that's going back into the silence. Right? And that silence is, in fact, the Atma. Right? So you can see that when we experience the Om, as we experience the different facets of the Om, when we go beyond this Makara stage, you will enter the stage of silence, which is the experience of yourself as Atma. So the Om then is a vehicle to bring you to your core silence, your core experience as a spiritual being. Okay, questions around that? Everyone understands it? Okay, here's some practical applications for you. When you chant the Om, and we're going to practice how to do that in detail now, if you spend a lot of the time in that chant on the A sound, it brings material things into your life. So let's say you're chanting the Om and most of your breath is around the A sound, it's going to bring material things into your life. If you predominate on the U sound, it will sustain those things in your life. And if you focus more on the M sound, then all those things fade away. And you then start to get the chance to enter your silence. Right? So what is the Om, the chanting of the Om? If you do it correctly as Swami has given it to us, what is its intention?
Detach.
Reduce our attachment.
That's right, reducing your attachment. Right? The Om, by its vibration, will start to reduce your attachment to everything and then bring you into the silence. Right? But I'm not sure if it was right to tell you that if you focus there, it's going to bring you a lot of things. And then you try to stop. So, whilst you can use it for that, that's not negative, but just understand that this is a spiritual technique. Your goal is to let go gradually of the world and to dwell in the silence, right? So you can have constant integrated awareness of the silence. This is where you live. Now, how many of you have seen Swami in physical form? Even in the video, but when you see him live, and how many of you have seen him in the days when he was still walking? Okay, quite a few. Right, so sometimes when you see him, he's like in a dwal.
Yes.
You look at him like he's not here, but he's walking. And then suddenly he'll sort of like come out and interact with you. That's because he dwells in the silence as his basic way of living. Right? He's always established in the silence, and he comes out of it into creation to interact with you and I. Right? And then he goes back into it. So sometimes it's so visible and tangible, you think, where is he going? It's like he's tripping out, coming back, tripping out, coming back. But the other way is actually correct. He's going back home, which is his essential nature, and then he's coming out into your world, and then helping you, and then goes back to it. So he's constantly in this mode. That's your goal, by the way. You want to constantly be in this experience. Not the dual state. Silence, powerful capacity. Right? So today we're going to learn how to do this properly. if you've been around long enough, you've attended like 1,008 bhajans by now, then you can have every version of the Aumkaar. You've got a warm, you've got a home, and all and everything in between. Right? Everyone's monkey mind's version you're going to have. There is no other way to do the Om. Right? You don't have a special Om for funerals, another one for bhajans, and another one for your home bhajan. No, Om is Om. There's only one way to do it. Right? So we're going to learn how to do it correctly, and we're going to experience it. Right? So any questions around it? Okay, so the first thing is to basically understand that the Om is basically cleansing all your sheaths. It's almost like your body, your being has many layers of vibration. So let's just take a look at that one. You can see we did this thing like thousands of years ago, so we still got the charts. All right, I don't know if you can see it from the back, but we'll go through it. So these are called koshas. They are vibrational sheets. Think of it like you putting on layers of clothing. So you as a spiritual being, for you to come into three-dimensional reality, you need a spacesuit. Right? Think of it as a spacesuit. To live in a three-dimensional world, you need a spacesuit. And that spacesuit is made up of your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body. They're all vibrating energies, and they're arranged around you. So there you are, right at the core, you are Atma. And the first sheet around you is called the bliss sheet, Anandamaya Kosa. Right? The next one is the intellectual sheet, Vijnanamaya Kosa. So this is sometimes called the mental sheet, or the causal, sorry. Then we have the mind sheet after that, called Manomaya Kosa. Then you have the vital air sheet, so these are all the vibrating, sometimes known as the etheric sheet. This is Pranamaya Kosa, right, that layer. And then the food sheet, your physical body, Anandamaya Kosa, right? You can see that you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of energies that you have to learn to manage. Right? If you only focus on your physical body, you know, gel, makeup, tint your hair, then you're only looking after one level, right? We all look after our body well with food, we know that, right? Some people believe if you skip one meal, you're going to die. Okay. All right. The Pranamaya Kosa is another type of sheet that is dependent on the amount of prana you bring into your body, right? And that is dependent on your vital functioning of your lungs, the environment you live in. Prana is all around you. You'll find it most concentrated in high mountain areas, around water bodies, lakes, in the ocean. You'll find it where there are lots of trees because nature is permeated by prana. That is why when you go into nature, within a short while you'll find yourself coming down and settling. Right? So it's a hint for you. Make time to go out into nature and spend time in nature. Even if you just go and sit on the beach, the prana will do its job for you. If you're going to the mountains, to the berg, go and do it. Has its value for you. Right? Spending time in nature is a spiritual activity. Spending time in the casino is not a spiritual activity. Okay, so these are the sheets. Now, as we have said earlier, everything in creation is vibrating energy. All of it comes from the Om, the Pranava, right? And so our bodies are vibrating. You go from the lowest vibration, which is the Anamaya Kosa. So your body is the lowest vibration. It's heavy, it's dense. And as we get to Pranamaya, it speeds up a bit. That sheet vibrates at a faster rate. Then the Manamaya, the mind sheet, a little faster. Then the intellectual sheet, a little faster. Bliss sheet, the fastest, right? So you've got different layers of vibration going on. And all of that together is sometimes known as your aura. Some people can see your energy sheet. In the Bible, it's described, there's a being in the Bible called Jacob, and he wears a coat of many colors. A coat of many colors is all of us. Right? So it's describing all these vibratory sheets. Now, each of them can become contaminated through the way we use the mind. And you've seen that, right? Vikshepa, the impressions, the vasanas, the ego, avarana, all of those things are what are contaminating these sheets. And so what happens is that when you have contamination in these sheets, you are unable to live in the world with Atma as your directive intelligence. The distortion is so great that you forget you are the Atma. You think you're the body, and you're the mind, and you have all your issues about living in the world. Right? You know, the main thing the ego is interested in is what?
Body.
That is the body, but why? Why the body? What is its primary thing it's trying to do for you?
Believes it's the body.
That's its mistake. It does, but what does it do?
To acquire things.
Attached to the body.
Attached to the world, or the outside.
Yeah. So first, the ego is a state where you think you're the body. That's the fundamental error. But the ego is there to do something for you. Otherwise, Swami would not have created it for us.
Make you believe you're the doer.
That's the opposite of what it was intended for. The ego is there to defend you from danger. Right? It's constantly organizing things to protect you from danger, from fear, from little things like that. Right? But when it becomes predominant, it takes over, then you have the mistaken identity that you are the body. Right? So that's like a distortion of how you're really supposed to be functioning. The ego is never meant to be the primary directive intelligence in you. The directive intelligence should be the Atma, the Sanatana Sarathi, right? The charioteer, the eternal charioteer is that. So in order for that Atma to give you the information, give you the instructions, give you the guidance, these sheets have to be cleaned out. Must be vibrating at its optimal level. It's like the circuits in your phone. If you've got like a cranky phone, you dial one number and it goes somewhere else. You've all had that experience. That's cranky circuits in your. So if you've got cranky circuits in your sheets, you never listen to what the Atma is saying. You're only listening to the ego, right? And then you have all your karma starting in your life. So cleaning up this is a very important thing. The technology for restoring the balance to all of this is the Aumkaar. One technology, right, that'll handle all of this. It's like one ring to control everything else. Right, so that's the purpose of the Aumkaar. It basically purifies all of these sheets, right? So why we do the Aumkaar 21 times is for that reason, because there are different sub-aspects of each of these sheets that are being handled. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly read through it. You don't have to know this to get the benefit of the Aumkaar, by the way. You don't have to say, okay, now this Aum I'm doing for this part, this Aum I'm doing for that part. Don't do it like that. So the first set of Aumkars, the first 5, is for your vocal organs, the hands, the legs, excretory organs, and generative organs. The second set of 5 Aumkars is for your eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin. Third set for your voice, respiration, circulation of blood, digestion, excretion. Fourth set, the food sheet, the vital, the food sheet, the vital air sheet, mind sheet, intellect sheet, bliss sheet. Right? So all your instruments, your entire makeup as a biological or psychobiological being is being purified by the Aumkaar. Right? Going right from the gross, through your senses, through all these vital airs, through these body sheets. All of that is being restored back into a perfect balance so that the Atma can use it as its intended vehicle. So the original design of you as a human being, the exquisite design of your brain and your endocrine organs, all of that, is so amazing because it's geared, it's almost like it's a perfect fit for how your consciousness has to interact with this biology and give you the experience of reality. Okay? That sounds quite hectic, right? It is hectic. Because you don't know what an amazing piece of equipment you've got, right? Your body. But you're polluting it with all the funny things, the pickles, all the funny foods, all of that. And you're messing it up. So your Atma is saying, hello, hello, hello. You say, can't hear you. Right? Because it's too toxic. So Aumkaar is your purifier. Think of it as your super detergent, you know, Omo, skip, Ariel, right? Domestos, so it can, and it just dissolves all of this negative, toxic vibration in you, right? So understand it, that the Aumkaar is that vibratory detergent for you, okay? But only if you do it correctly. Right? So the trick is to learn how to do it correctly, and there's a reason for doing it 21 times. The best time to do the Aumkaar is when? Early in the morning. So that's the Brahma Muhurtam, right? So the Brahma Muhurtam is a time between 4 and 6 a.m. Right? And it is the time when all the energies on the planet are awakening. Right? You know, the earth energy goes through a cycle. When it awakens, in that 4 to 6, it's a very powerful time for you to piggyback on it, to engage any sadhana. You'll find your mind is calmer, you'll be able to do a lot more things. When that energy starts to wane, that is called a Rahu Kala, which is a bad time. All your energies don't lock together. You can make mistakes, you can put yourself in danger. So our ancient forefathers knew this. They studied the energies of the earth and they discovered these cycles. So there are times in the day when that happens. Anyone knows that? When you shouldn't be trying to do anything major, hectic, and start any project or function. No. On every day it happens. Every Monday, Tuesday, there's a time.
Originally last for about an hour.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half. Yeah. Okay, end of this thing, remind me and I'll give it to you. I've got it on my phone. Worth knowing, because it's like saying, you know it's going to rain at that time. Why would you go out or put yourself out and get wet? So it's like reading what's called the cosmic weather. It's like a weather forecast for your spiritual activity. Swami was very clear about this. He would never come out.
He never used to go out during this time.
That's right. He will make you wait and wait and wait until that is past, then he comes out. Right? Almost to the second. Right? And we didn't know this in the beginning until someone told us that it comes out after the Rahu Kala is over. Right? So Rahu is that which brings danger into your life. Okay, so now we know about our energy bodies. Right? So all of it is about energy. And it's amazing that all our ancient sages and rishis knew about this in great detail. Everything, all your Vedic hymns are all about vibration to purify the body, to enhance it, to make it more effective for Atmic expression. Right? So this is what it's about. This is what the spiritual path is about. When you do your bhajans, when you do your pujas, when you do your havans, when you do yagyas, all of that is about cleansing the vibrations, making your intent more purified, making you more selfless, making you more aligned to your Atma so that you express that constantly, right? So really the spiritual skill is how much can you purify yourself and how selfless can you be so that you can allow your Atma to dictate what you must be doing, right? Then you live on heaven on earth, you'll be in the golden age.
Just a question about that. If you were born during that particular time, what is the effect of the impact of that on the mind?
Tough luck, eh?
Last year, and I was born during that time.
During that time.
Yeah, on a Wednesday between, it was a 10 past 12, so that time is between 12 and 1. And I really did have a very tough time with my mind. I said to Swami, so what do I do now because I'm born during this time? Doing the sadhana is really hard because I'm putting the effort.
Yeah, time of your birth and all of that is karmic. It's not anything more. So for you to be born in that time, which is supposed to be bad, etc., that's just how the science of it works. That doesn't mean you're going to have a bad life, right? Because we have one great gift that totally negates all of that. Swami. Right? But remember, Bhagwan is the creator. He can change your karmic pattern. He can change your destiny. He can change your bad luck or so, whatever you want, right? There was a story, well, not a story, a real thing that happened. This one guy came to Prashanti and he went into an interview, and he was terrified because the astrologers told him that all the planets were arranged adversely for him. He's going to have hell on earth. And he was so terrified that he didn't get to explain to Swami properly. Swami said, I know. And then he waved his hand and created a little box. He says, open it. So this guy opened it, and there was the whole solar system with all the planets arranged in 3 dimensions. And Swami says, I've rearranged your planetary influence. Keep the box closed, never open it, and nothing will happen to you for the rest of your life. Very happy, he went and he put his box away, and his life indeed was like very happy. And then one day, because he had forgotten this thing, he found the box, and he decided to open it. And boom, everything came back. So he went back to Swami and said, Swami says, well, now you have to pay the karma out, right? So Swami's grace limits your karmic payback. So your astrology, your planets may all say right, adverse. Remember, it's not the planets doing anything to you, it's your karma. That astrology is a way to read your karma, nothing else. Planets don't do anything to you. They just use it as a way of explaining it, but in reality, you have created your negative karma. This thing is only reading it for you. It's saying, well, somewhere you did this, you didn't feed that person, you abandoned that one, you killed this child. So you go through all your versions of that in this world. And that's all it is. Every one of us comes with that karma. But our grace is that Swami then helps us to cancel that out. Okay, so that's the grace of our grace as being devotees of Swami. If we are true to our relationship with Swami, that's the gift he gives you. He mutes your karma to such an extent that it doesn't ever disturb you in your spiritual effort. Right? Karma is the one stumbling block that will keep tripping you up in your spiritual effort. Because when you're feeling pain and distress and all of that, that's not the time you're going to think of doing Aumkaar and all of that. Right? You're trying to get out of pain and the misery and the suffering. But Swami is saying the other thing, leave the karma to me, I will deal with it. If you have turned to me, that's my job, I will deal with it. You get on with your sadhana and do the cleanup. But that's your responsibility. Right? You've got to make the effort, then Swami gives you the grace 100-fold. That's a very important principle in our spiritual development to know that. Okay, so let's now learn how we're going to do this Aumkaar. And in order to do that, we have to just study the anatomy of the Om. Okay, so the Om then has its 3 parts, the A, the U, and the M. And the A sound is said to start at your navel. So although you're uttering it here, it's a sense that that A sound is coming from the navel. It's very much like a plane that is coming from the distance, and it then is directly over you, and then it fades away as it passes you, right? So the A sound is the softest sound, right? Then as it rolls over your tongue, it becomes the U sound, slightly louder. And then the loudest part of the Om is the M, right? So that's half your breath. From there to there is half your breath. You're talking about your exhalation, right? Don't ever try to do the Om when you're trying to inhale. It doesn't work. And then the M sound then fades away. It's like on your lips, it'll vibrate and tingle, and then it fades gradually, softer, 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 into the silence. The most important part of the Aumkaar is the silence, or the mukha as it's called. Right? So this is called mukha. That's the silence. So every Om is separated by an experience of silence. Right? So if you're doing an Om where you're Om, Om, Om like that, that's incorrect. Right? You have to have the silence between, and from the silence begins the next A. Alright? And then it begins to resonate and then fade away into the silence. Experience the silence for a few seconds, then begin the next one. Right? 21 times. Okay. So let's practice a little bit so that we can get the feel for it first. So we're going to start first by resonating the R sound. So when we say it, it's not Om, it's an Aum. It's almost an A-O-U-M. But don't try and make them distinct sounds. They'll roll one into the other. Right, so just sit with your pens down. If you're sitting cross-legged, it's fine. Just put your palms on your lap. Right, close your eyes. And we're only going to do the A sound. So just to feel that soft A sound starting in your, around where your navel is, right? Okay, let's begin. And again. Once more. Okay, with your eyes closed, we'll now go to the U sound. So it's a U. So you make it slightly louder than the A. So it'll go. Starting again with the A, soft A, and then louder at the U. One more. Okay, now we move to the M sound. So the M will be a loud M resonating around your lips and then fading into the silence. So we're only going to do the M component of the Om, right? A deep breath. And again, deep breath. Once more. Okay, did you feel that tingling around the lips? If it tingles like that, you're doing it correctly, right? And then what we're going to do now is we're going to do the M sound again, and I want you to become aware of that mukha, the silence after the M, right? So before every M, we're going to do it 3 times. Become aware of that silence and experience the silence for about 10 or 15 seconds, okay? Right, let's start again. Take a deep breath. And again. And again. Okay, let's open our eyes. Okay, how does that silence feel at the end of it? Even though it's like almost like 10 seconds, but isn't it quite profound how you feel that silence? So that's what we're going to focus on. The Aumkaar is designed, it's like a carrier, it takes you into that. It's almost like you're purifying all the bodies, and it's like you're going through the sheets back into your experience of your core, which is the Atma, right? As silence. Right, so let's string it all together now. We're going to do the A, the U, the M going to the silence. Right? And we'll do it 3 times. Right, just sit comfortably first. And take in a deep breath, fill up your lungs. And start with the A sound. Soft. in. Once more. Okay, it's organized. Okay, any questions around that? Everyone okay with it? Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the 21 ohms. First, I'm going to play a version that we've recorded so that you can get familiar with it. You can do it, accompanying that. We'll do it maybe like 2 times, giving you a chance to get it. And then I'm going to play a type of what's called a continuous Aumkaar. It's designed in a different way, and you're going to then do your ohms on that 21 times. Right? It'll almost become like a background, sustained kind of sound happening in the background whilst you do your ohms. Right? It'll be each one has got different breath capacity, lung capacity, so it'll be slightly different, but do it for your benefit. If you can bring it in sync with each other, it feels a lot better. But obviously, most times we'll be doing it on our own. Unless you're doing Aumkaar as a group, right? Then it's better to try and do it together, right? The pitch of your Aum, at what level you vibrate it, is going to be dependent on your birth vibration. You'll automatically find what works for you. Some will do it at a higher pitch, some at a lower pitch, whatever works for you, right? These are just examples we're giving you. Whatever that level of vibration you want, the pitch, you will have to set it at that. Okay, so we're going to do this Aumkaar. It'll be 21 times. Try and then train it, remembering to do the soft A, the louder U, loudest M sound, fading away into the silence, and then a short experience of the silence. Take your deep breath, start again. Right? Always remembering that this is the most important part, the Aumkaar. Right? You want to aim to experience more and more of that silence. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, so we need to play this on, and then we'll do the full 21 and then review it, and do another cycle of 21, and then I'm going to give you that another 21 where we just play the, it's almost like called the drone Aumkaar. It's a background sound for you. Okay, so that's how you enunciate the Aum, right? With that, the most important part of the Aum being the silence, right? You have to give enough time to feel this Aumkaar, to experience it, and then start the next Aum from it, right? Now, if you're doing it correctly, what will happen is you'll find that the number of thoughts will also start to diminish as you go through each Aum, right? You'll find almost like you're letting go of your body, your thoughts, your world, and you're immersing yourself in this. Now, there's a few things that happen when you start to do that. As you get more adept at doing the Aumkaar, you might suddenly start hearing sounds and bells as you're getting closer and closer to the source, your source. It can sometimes be like roaring thunder. Sometimes it's like deep sort of like rumbling sounds. All of those are just the depth of the silence that you're going to. As you get closer and closer to that deep silence, these sounds will start to emanate, and then it fades away. Right? So don't get thrown by all of that. You don't want to attach yourself to any of those things. These are just indicators that you are going deeper and deeper into that, right? Okay, did many of you try to do the Aum with that? Yeah. So how did it feel? You noticed your breathing was not coordinated with what he was doing. Yeah, that's because you haven't trained to do it yet, right? So as you do it regularly every day, it takes about 6 to 8 minutes to do the 21 ohms. You will then find that your breathing rhythm becomes more comfortable. And you'll have enough air to last you till that end sound. And you'll then, with your breath exhaled, you'll be experiencing silence. And then in the silence, you take your next deep breath and start the Aum again. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to do another 21 ohms. This time, we're going to play it in a way that it has the sustained, imminent sound of the Om in everything. Right? So start whenever you're ready and begin the 21 Oms. How do you count 21, by the way?
Fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to each finger, it's 20, and then the last one.
Okay, that's one way. You also got 10 fingers. 2 times is 20. And
The notches in your fingers are?
whichever way. Don't get fussed up about which one you're using. You're just counting 20, 21. So whichever way works for you, do that. Don't get a live person who's counting for you. Firstly, it's hard to get someone to do that. But just count simply and make sure you're doing 21, right? And now you know why it's 21 and not 22 and a half and not 23 and not 42 or something. Right? There are 21 aspects to your, 20 aspects to your physical or your psychophysical structure. The 21st Om is when you immerse back into your Atmic state. 20 is for all the vehicle, energies of the vehicle that you're riding in. The 21st is I'm back home. Right, so hopefully by the 21st one you will get up after that. Right, so we're going to play the drone Aumkaar for you now, and you can then do your 21. Right, I'll be counting roughly, so more or less we'll be finished at about that time. You've all finished 21, and then we've got a special treat for you after that. Okay, so that has like the continuous drone sound of the Om, and then you do your Aumkaars on that, right? Now, at the end of the 21 Oms, we always end the Aumkaar with Shanti, so 3 Shantis, right? The Shanti has to be Shanti, quiet, peaceful, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So let's do it together, 3 Shantis, Om and then 3 Shantis. Even the Shanti has a little pause between it. Right? Shanti means peace, means so you have to allow yourself to experience the peace rather than let's just get over with it. Right? So the Shanti part is a very profound bit, because what you're doing is when you terminate the Aumkaar, you are then going to bring that peace out with you and live the silence in your day. All right? Right, so any questions around it before we end? Everyone comfortable with it? Right, so quickly to, yeah.
If you are in hospital in your area, how can you do your Aumkaar?
The question is, can you do it?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But there's people around.
Do it softly in your mind.
In your mind.
Yeah.
You do it.
The best way to do the Aumkaar is to do it aloud. Then you feel the vibration, but if you can't, then you can do it in your mind. That's fine.
Can you do it to the sound of listening to, like if you listen to the...
You can do it if you want that. We can let you have it and use it.
This one can be clear.
Yeah, we'll send that and you can use it, or you can just. Another way is like if you can get like a drone sound, like with a harmonium or like a, yeah, any kind of Shruti Peti will do. You know, when you set it and just let it play the drone. Like in the first one that we did, that's a kind of a drone sound. Or you can use this version and just superimpose it on it. Right? The whole idea is to follow this and get to the silence, let it do its cleansing effect. And then you want to feel that the real skill in the Aumkaar is to master your breathing. If you get the breathing right, the Aumkaar becomes very profound. Right? So you want to put some time into that and start doing it consistently. So every morning, no breaks on Diwali, Christmas. Every morning is every morning. Right? Get up and do it. Right? Somewhere between 4 and 6. If you oversleep, rather get up and do it than not doing it. Okay? Yeah, best time is the morning.
It's after showering or before showering?
Before showering. Yeah, in fact, your morning sadhana must always be brush your teeth, wash your face, maybe drink some water, and then start your sadhana. The idea that you have to go and have a shower first and all of that is incorrect, because the moment you shower, all your senses start to get stimulated. You can't quieten the mind. Right? Swami has advised you do that first, then go and do the shower, etc. Okay, can you do the Aumkaar during your menstruation? Of course. Can you do any puja mantra during your menstruation? Of course. Right? That's absurd to think you can't do it in that time for whatever superstitious reason. That's all nonsense stuff.
Finally somebody's answered that.
Who was threatening you with that?
No, people, especially the elderly ladies, will say, and I never believed it because my name is Swami, so it's ridiculous.
What can you do?
When is it done 108 times?
The Aumkaar. Yeah, those are done only like at special havans, pujas and so on. But in its own right, you almost never do 108 Oms as a routine. 21 is the cycle. You've got the reason now, right? It's purifying. 21 is really, 108 is a multiple of the 21s anyway. So it's really doing like 4 cycles or 5 cycles of that. So you only need 21, by the way, nothing more than that. Right? When we do bhajans, we do 3 Oms. So again, maybe train your bhajan singers that's how the Om has to be done, not like brush it and then get into the bhajan. The Om is your invitation to God, right? Swami said when you chant the first Om, you have invited him. Second Om, he is walking down the aisle, accepting it. Third Om, he is taking his seat. Right? So the Oms are like your invitation to divinity, and you must respect it for that.
Even the Shanti also, the Shanti is Shanti, peace for the body, peace for the mind, and peace for the soul. So when it comes to the body, it's loud, and then the mind is slowly, and if the soul goes much slower, much
softer.
softer.
Yeah, that's
softer.
correct.
Yeah.
Right. That's why you have to allow for that
Space.
that pause between them, because you've got to feel the Shanti, not say the Shanti. Right? Feel the Shanti. Right. So one very interesting thing that happens when you truly start to get the benefit of the Aumkaar is you navigate your life in almost like unbroken peace. The day flows exactly as you intend. The people you interact with all are pleasant. Nobody ruffles your feathers. Even your challenges become minor. Right? It's such a powerful tool when you really, really invest in it. You'll discover some extraordinary things. And the days you don't do it, you'll see how bumpy that day can be. Right? So just take it for what it is. Swami has given you the tool. Up to you to use it, right? If you truly believe you are a spiritual aspirant, you're making your effort in the spiritual journey, and this is the vehicle you have to master. Right? Well, one of them. It's a really profound tool, and if you get it right, you'll start to experience who you really are. Right? Not your ego, not your mind, not your emotions. You'll discover and experience, and you'll manifest your true spiritual identity. So the Om is that vehicle that will do that for you. So to end, we're going to try and discover who I am. In other words, you're asking the question, who am I? Right? To do this, we need you to be lying on your back. So face either that wall or that wall, whichever way you want. So just get into posture first, lie on your back. And then we're going to play this piece. It's about 13 or 15 minutes long. Just follow it, close your eyes, and enjoy it. Many of you went home.
A bit early to be snoring.
The body needs it, what can you say? Okay, so what you experienced there was a cleansing of all your different bodies. And if you allow it to happen, it will take you right into that deep core piece, right? Where you're not aware of your body, you're not aware of your snoring, you're not aware of deep. It's a very deep rest, and that is the silence that Swami is talking about that we should be experiencing. Right? If you're doing a sadhana and you're not getting to that deep kind of experience, it's not working for you yet. That means you've got to do a lot more purification, But you need to develop a little routine that allows you to go into that kind of deep silence every day. That's what the real goal is, right? So you had your first experience of that, you now know what it feels like, so that's the goal, to maintain that at different times. Okay, any questions before we end? Oh, by the way, how did it feel?
Relaxing, really.
So if I snore, that means I went deep.
No, it means your body is tired, some part of your body is out of sync, it's correcting, yeah? It's not a negative thing.
Do the sadhana alone.
Okay?
It has to be done alone. Not the people that snore.
Do the sadhana alone if you're a snorer. Okay. Right, so let's end with our Samastaloka.